Welcome to the deep dive. And today, well, we're looking at a really fascinating synthesis of sources.
We are. We've got everything from Stoicism and Rumi to Theodore Roosevelt and even Leo Tolstoy.
It's quite a mix. And our mission today is to really dig into this psychological divide, between authentic engagement on one hand.
And cynical detachment on the other.
Exactly. We want to understand what the sources mean when they say that the sneer is the poorest way to face life.
And what we're actually losing when we choose to wear that armor.
So the whole thing is framed around this daily choice we all have to make, right?
It is. Do we operate from a place of what the sources call embodied presence, being vulnerable and actually trying?
Or do we hide? Do we put on that armor of cynical distance?
And it's so important to get this first point. The sources are really blunt about this. They do not see cynicism as, some kind of intellectual sophistication.
No, not at all.
They call it a form of cowardice.
Wow.
Yeah, a defense mechanism that it voids our ability to be creative, to collaborate, to actually connect with people.
So it guarantees you won't fail publicly, maybe.
But it ensures you fail internally. That's the trait.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Let's start with the antidote. What do the sources call it? Embodied presence.
That's the one. And it's described in this really tangible way. They use this analogy of a competitor who's completely focused.
Right. The eyes feel the target. The hands feel clubbed. The feet feel the ground.
Exactly. It just grounds the whole concept. It's not some abstract mindfulness.
It's total attention.
Total attention. Total alignment. If you're a parent, it's really listening to your kid's story. If you're at work, it's giving your full focus in a meeting.
So if that's the goal, why is it so hard? Why do we default to being distant?
Because presence, that kind of presence, requires just radical vulnerability.
Okay.
I mean, if your eyes feel the target, you might miss. If you put everything into a project, it might just fail.
And if you show you want to connect with someone,
you might get rejected. The sneer, that cynical attitude, it's perfect armor against all of that.
I get the self-protection part, but calling it cowardice feels strong. Isn't there a place for, healthy skepticism?
That's the critical line they draw. Healthy skepticism engages. It questions things to make them better.
Right. It participates.
It participates. Cowardice, in this context, refuses to even get in the arena. The sneer lets you stand on the sidelines and just critique.
And you always have that escape hatch.
Always. I knew this wouldn't work, or I wasn't really trying anyway. The vulnerability is gone, and with it, any chance of real growth.
And this is where the cost becomes, existential.
Mm-hmm.
If you choose that armor, what are you trading away? The sources bring in that Bob Marley line.
Don't gain the world and lose your soul. Wisdom is better than silver and gold.
So good.
And if you translate that, gaining the world is about status, right? Appearing smart, successful, detached.
Silver and gold.
Yeah. And losing your soul is trading actual experience wisdom for that cheap currency. You look good, but you feel hollow because you haven't actually earned anything.
Which makes Theodore Roosevelt's critique land so heavily that facing life with a sneer is the poorest way to face life.
He saw it so clearly, he called it wallflower nihilism.
That's such a great phrase.
It's perfect, isn't it? It's the habit of critiquing from the safety of the wall. Roosevelt knew life is hard. And the person who just meets that difficulty with contempt has already lost.
They've chosen superiority over participation.
Exactly. And that's a choice that becomes contagious.
And that leads to a really interesting pivot in the material, doesn't it? How this personal habit becomes a social problem.
Yeah, a generational one. They call it unthinking contagion. We model cynicism so much more effectively than we model, say, ambition.
And it's not in the big speeches. It's in the small things.
It's the little comments under our breath. It's how we rationalize why we don't try things, or why someone else's earnest effort must be naive. We're passing on our fear and dressing it up as realism.
That is just a terrible inheritance. I mean, kids start out with fresh eyes, a full heart, and so much energy.
They do.
And then we infect them with this idea that caring is dangerous. We're robbing them of their birthright to just engage with the world.
We teach them the safe bet is to keep your distance. The sources argue it should be the other way around. We should let their sincerity infect us.
Remind us of what we lost.
Yeah, to get back to that clarity of purpose.
The material uses a great analogy from Marie O'Connor to sort of clarify this difference.
The one about being busy.
Yeah, it's not so much how busy you are, but why you are busy. The bee is praised, the mosquito is swatted.
It's so useful. I mean, what is the cynic busy with?
Right.
They're busy with evasion. They're busy maintaining that detached superiority. They're the mosquito. just making noise and causing irritation, but not building anything.
While the bee is busy with purpose, with contribution.
Even if it's quiet. And that choice of purpose, it changes how we measure ourselves, doesn't it?
It has to. There's that Chu Chin-ning quote about competition.
Oh, yeah. That if you compete with another person, you only have to be as good as them or a little better.
Which puts a ceiling on your potential.
A hard ceiling. And cynicism is the easiest way to win that game. You just tear them down. But if you compete only with yourself...
There's no limitation to how good you can be.
And that requires the kind of authentic effort the Sneer is designed to avoid.
Okay, so this is where the material takes a really surprising turn.
It's a big jump for sure.
A huge jump. It connects this personal habit of detachment to war.
To war, exactly. And at first it seems like a stretch, but when you look at the logic, it starts to make a scary amount of sense.
Oh, so?
The sources suggest that if we practice abstracting our own lives, keeping ourselves at an emotional distance day after day,
we get good at it.
We get really good at it. And it trains our minds to accept the abstraction of human life in general. If my own life isn't sacred enough for me to fully engage in, why would I treat anyone else's as sacred?
And this is where Leo Tolstoy comes in with just this brutal clarity.
No messing around. War is murder. Full stop.
No matter how many people get together to commit murder or what they call themselves, murder is the worst sin in the world.
He just cuts right through all the justifications, all the patriotism, all the politics.
All the abstraction.
All of it. And forces you to see it for what it is. People killing other people. And that mental distance we practice with the Sneer is what allows it to happen.
So if a government can frame its victims as an abstract enemy or killing as an abstract duty, our own habits have already prepared us to accept that.
Precisely. Which brings up that Camille Flammarion insight, that we fail to understand that the life of each man is his own personal, private property.
When we don't see that, we let others treat it as expendable, as state property.
And Tolstoy takes that even further. He says this is why war continues.
Even though most people know it's cruel and stupid.
Right, because war is the ultimate consequence of government power. The power to tax, to legislate.
And to command violence.
And that power only exists because we are collectively willing to surrender the sacredness of our individual lives to the abstract idea of the state.
That's a staggering conclusion to draw, that the little daily act of being detached is philosophically linked to these massive societal failures.
It is. Tolstoy's diagnosis is harsh. He says the people of this planet are on a very low level of development.
Which isn't an insult. It's a clinical observation.
Exactly. It's a diagnosis of our failure to learn the most basic lesson, the sacredness of individual life, and our failure to engage with it.
Comes back to training, doesn't it? The sources mention that sign from the New York Fire Department Training Academy.
Let no man's ghost come back to say, my training let me down.
And if cynicism is our training
has failed us. When life demands courage and vulnerability, all we've practiced is evasion. We have to reverse the training.
So, okay, the good news is we can change that.
We can.
There's that Bozoma St. John quote about how we spend so much time complaining.
And forget we have the power to change anything and everything. Evasion feels safe, but it cuts us off from real satisfaction.
So where does that path to satisfaction begin?
Well, the sources offer this really interesting paradox of improvement.
Don't upgrade what's already good enough.
Right. Which is so counter to our culture of constant optimization.
It really is. What does that actually mean in practice?
It's about where you put your energy. If your phone works, it works. If your house is fine, it's fine. Obsessing over the upgrade is a status game. It's a distraction.
A cynical one.
A cynical one. The advice is to spend those resources to remove some cause of suffering instead, which shifts the focus from optimizing the self to contributing.
From the mosquito back to the bee.
You got it.
So if we commit to that, to engagement, what are the actual disciplines? How do you overwrite that cynical muscle memory?
Well, the sources lay out a few key disciplines. First is, maybe unsurprisingly, patience.
Patience. Right. Sadi said, all things are difficult before they are easy.
And you have to accept that initial difficulty. The cynic's reflex is to run from it.
Okay, what's second?
Silence. Rumi's advice. Let silence be the art you practice.
Cultivating receptivity.
Exactly. You can't sneer at something if you're actually truly listening to it first.
Third.
Unignorable quality. Steve Martin's famous advice.
Be so good they can't ignore you.
Yep. Genuine craft, earnest effort. That's the ultimate defense against the Sneer, because it requires a level of work the cynic just refuses to do.
And the last one is from Picasso.
The distinction. A true artist isn't someone who is inspired, but someone who inspires others. It's about being an engine, not waiting for a push.
It seems like all of these require us to embrace difficulty.
We have to. There's that metaphor. Without the storms and rain, life would cease to be. The discomfort we're avoiding is actually the mechanism for growth.
Gray Cook reinforces
Right.
that we're literally made to grow strong by moving through resistance, not around it.
It all comes back to that choice. The bee or the mosquito, engagement or detachment. And we make that choice every single day.
In how we respond to a setback, how we listen to someone, what we teach our kids.
And true strength is never in the armor. It's in the vulnerability of trying, the courage to care, the discipline of competing only with yourself.
It seems like most people, they get it. They understand that war is cruel.
Of course.
But the source material seems to be saying something deeper. That until we really understand the cruelty and the stupidity of the sneer,
The everyday stuff.
yeah, that daily practice of detachment, we just can't advance. We're stuck on this low level of development
Our training must not let us down, and it has to start today.
by remembering the basics.
The eyes feel the target, the hands feel the club, the feet feel the ground. Just practice being present, being open, and accepting that anything worthwhile is difficult before it's easy. That is the sacred property of life.